Willis is the Last Boy Scout, Wednesday at 10:40.
This is Anglia. The time is 11 o'clock.
From the studios of ITN, the news, with Mark Austin.
Good evening, welcome to the programme with our headlines tonight. America's bombers arrive in Britain as pressure mounts on Milosevic. Brown the optimist, we can fight off recession. And Gascoigne's battle with the bottle. He's in a clinic tonight. American B-52 bombers are tonight standing by in Britain as part of the massive NATO strike force threatening Yugoslavia. The planes, armed with cruise missiles, flew into Gloucestershire today. It was another warning to President Slobodan Milosevic, who's still locked in talks with the American envoy Richard Holbrooke. Tomorrow NATO is likely to authorise airstrikes, as the Prime Minister Tony Blair holds an emergency cabinet meeting on Kosovo. Terry Lloyd reports.
The giant B-52 bombers, each carrying 8 cruise missiles, swooped into Oria, Fairford, where they will remain on standby, awaiting orders from NATO command. The long-range combat aircraft, which were used for carpet bombing in Vietnam and precision strikes against troops and fixed targets in the Gulf War, were described as ready and able for their next mission.
I think the B-52s will be a very big player in anything that we undertake, that NATO decides to do. I think just by the virtue of being here, we send a very powerful signal that NATO means business.
The arrival of the B-52s has been carefully orchestrated, designed to remind President Milosevic that these bombers could soon be over Serbia, in the hope that he finally backs down. A total of 260 American aircraft are on standby for any military strike, including the 6 B-52s at Oria, Fairford. A carrier group is based in the Adriatic. In Italy, there are 10 A-10 tank busters at Aviano and 8 British GR-7s at Gioia del Colle Air Base, and American B-2s will fly over from Missouri. As the first of the tank busters touched down in Italy, Britain's Foreign Secretary issued this warning.
Britain is most definitely on this issue of not dithering, and I would not like President Milosevic to imagine that NATO is dithering either. There is now a unity and a consensus across NATO that if Dick Holbrooke's mission does not produce results, there will be military action.
But far from heeding any warnings from Britain and America, the Yugoslav Navy began calling up reservists and preparing for battle. Terry Lloyd, ITN.
And as the military preparations build up, the humanitarian crisis continues to grow in Kosovo. The lives of thousands more refugees are in danger, as our correspondent Julian Mannion reports from the province.
For most of this war, the Serbian police have not wanted to be filmed. But as talks continue in Belgrade, their government seems anxious to prove that a ceasefire is in place in Kosovo. Policemen were filmed at night using flares to light up the fields around their positions. The men peer into the darkness for any sign of enemy movement. Their own guns are silent. But in the ravaged countryside around the police encampments, the refugees tell a different story. I was taken to a clearing in the woods where about 100 people had been hiding ever since their village was attacked. Here they are only a short distance from 3 different army and police positions. They say that the Serbs open fire every night. This man told me what happened when he tried to sneak back home to feed his chickens.
The Serbs saw me and started to shoot. The bullets flew all around me and I had to run away.
And refugees are dying out in the open. This woman died last night of a heart attack after weeks of sleeping on the muddy ground. President Milosevic is claiming that the situation in Kosovo is gradually calming down, but for these people, every night brings fresh terror. They are the evidence that the Serb forces are still preventing many of the refugees from returning to their smashed villages. And without that return, there can be little hope of peace. Julian Mannion, ITN, Kosovo.
Here, the Chancellor Gordon Brown today played down fears that Britain was about to fall victim to recession. Tomorrow, Mr. Brown will meet his European counterparts in Luxembourg and is expected to urge them to play their part in boosting world economic growth. Our political correspondent Harry Smith reports.
After a week which saw turmoil in the world stock market, the Chancellor seemed eager to steady nerves. He said Britain was well placed to withstand the economic storm.
we are having to reassess our figures on the basis of what's happening around the world, as is every other economy around the world. And I think Britain is actually better placed to withstand the instabilities and the uncertainties of the world economy, simply because we were prepared to take tough decisions.
But economists say it'll get worse before it gets better.
The question is, however, is that slowdown going to be exacerbated by what happens internationally? And therefore, are we going to see a gentle slowdown and a soft landing, or do we find we actually land with a pretty large bump?
Tomorrow, all eyes will be on the markets when they open. They'll also be watching the Chancellor, who meets European finance ministers, urging them to share responsibility for rescuing the world economy. Closer to home, the Chancellor could face a bigger challenge this week from the opposition, which today signalled its intention to go on the offensive over his handling of the economy, with Shadow Chancellor Francis Maude accusing Mr Brown of basic blunders, which could help turn the economic downturn into a full-blown recession. Harry Smith, ITN, Downing Street.
Fears growing tonight for the safety of police informers after allegations that a secret list of names was leaked to the criminal underworld. A Crown Prosecution Service worker has already appeared in court charged with conspiracy to pervert the course of justice. 2 men were found drowned today beside a boat off the Isle of Wight. They were discovered a quarter of a mile offshore in Alum Bay. Tonight, a search for others who might have been on board was called off. And 3 people were killed today when their car collided with an army lorry in Cornwall. The 2 men and a woman died on the New Quay to Perranporth Road. The lorry was carrying soldiers who were unhurt. The troubled football star Paul Gascoigne is tonight being treated in a private clinic. His club Middlesbrough have confirmed that he is receiving specialist help. It follows reports that the former England player went on a 4-day drinking session in Dublin. Karen Baumann reports.
Paul Gascoigne is believed to have checked in here at the Marchwood Priory Hospital near Southampton. It's the same clinic which treated fellow footballer Paul Merson several years ago. Tonight, Gascoigne's club, Middlesbrough, confirmed their star player was seeking help for drink problems.
It was decided by all that it would be in Paul's best interest to go into hospital. Obviously, the hospital staff have been treating Paul over the weekend. Paul will be away from the football club, whether it be days or whatever.
Gascoigne, who transferred to Middlesbrough for £3 million, is said to have spent much of last week on a drinking spree in Dublin. It's believed he fell over and cut his face and appeared drunk on his return to England. The footballer's performance on the pitch has often been marred by his behaviour off it. 2 years ago, he was photographed at what was described as a drunken party with members of the England team in Hong Kong. His nights out on the town with friends Danny Baker and Chris Evans have also been well documented. Earlier this year, amid more speculation, he was dropped from the England squad. It's unclear how long Gascoigne will be having treatment, but Middlesbrough says he won't play until the clinic believes he's ready. Karen Baumann, ITN.
Tennis, and Britain's Tim Henman has earned his way back into the world's top 10 with an emphatic win against Andre Agassi in the Swiss Open. The British #1 took the first 2 sets easily, but allowed the 4th-seeded American back into the match before eventually winning 3-1. Glenn Hoddle and his England players head to Luxembourg tomorrow, hoping to boost their European Championship chances with a win after yesterday's dismal goalless draw against Bulgaria. Scotland and Wales, who both won yesterday, also play on Wednesday. Today there's been a chorus of criticism of the England coach. Peter Staunton reports.
This was the difference between winning and losing. Even Michael Owen's lightning risk